Morning YouTube and Facebook. I saw this property come up in West Launceston. It's not far from where I live, and what stood out to me that's kind of interesting about it is it sold last year. So in February 2016 it sold for 360 grand. It presented pretty much the same then. Maybe the listing wasn't quite the same, not quite as nice photos. Other than that, I can't pick too much difference. It certainly had a lot of interest last time and seemed to sell fairly quickly. I know the agent who sold it last time. She did a pretty good job. Like, I wouldn't say that price was depressed or anything like that. And it's gone back on the market now. Now, when it first went on, it went offers over 420. It's now on a range. They've rethought their pricing strategy pretty quickly, and it's now 395 to 435. And realistically, I think they'll be going over that 420 mark anyway. So that's the house there, and it's quite a nice sort of older style house. It's not as old as a couple of the ones around it. It's probably more a 20s or a 30s house. It's got a new kitchen, it's got quite a nice backyard, and it's got quite a good view. So that's the city, and you're talking probably what, 5 to 10 minute walk to the city. If you're walking right into the CBD, maybe allow 10 minutes. The only downside is it hasn't really got any car parking. It's just got this double car space there, no garaging. But you know, it's a pretty good buy. I think it's a nice house. It's got good character. It's in a really good suburb. West Launceston is a real up and coming suburb. Probably already came up quite a lot, but it's certainly lifting its game in comparison, say, East Launceston and Newstead and a couple of those bigger named places. But yeah, it's interesting, and what I find kind of curious, and I always notice in these situations, is when they've relisted it, you know, 20 months after they first listed it, they've listed it with a different agent. Now, when you buy from an agent, you get quite an insight into how they operate and what they do and how they sell, and I guess you get a bit of an opinion on whether they're really getting top dollar for their buyer or not. And I wonder how much people think about that, or whether it's just a case of 20 months later, you know, they had circumstances change and this new agent was there. Now, the new agent is Andrea Bonner. She works for One Agency, which are a pretty progressive agency in town. They do really good advertising. They've got their name out there really well. She's on her social game, and the agency as a whole is pretty good on the social stuff. So it's got a lot of upside to using that agency. As I said, the photos are a bit better on this listing, and I think it'll probably go really well. But $60,000 means that 20 months, you know, circumstances have changed. No one buys a house to keep it for 20 months unless you're doing some sort of, you know, proper active strategy, like, you know, a subdivision or a build or a reno or something. These guys have just lived there. 20 months later, they're selling it. So that $60,000 market uplift is enough that, you know, they're not losing money, and the changeover costs are pretty good. Anyway, I'll let you know what else I find, but it's an interesting one to consider. Cheers, people.